มันปล่อยyour shoes on back.
Tom Wilson and Christopher Lloyd, we are very important. Kapow! Excitement crackling through the air. Lose your worries, forget your cares. You people in back should be sitting up here because sometimes I spit when I sing. I'm not done. And you could sell it on eBay. Hey! Showbiz is our life, my friend. We know just what to do. We're guys you've seen on TV, and face it, people on TV are better than you. People on TV are just better than you. Kim Kardashian, Jay-Z, Donald Trump, and us, yeah. I've survived in showbiz, we paid our dues. You gotta give me credit, you can't refuse. I know a guy who knows Tom Cruise. Yes, I'm that connected. But I'm not into Scientology. Hey, Back to the Future, freaks and geeks. I was in that movie called The Heat. My resume's longer than 50 feet, but not as impressive as his. You might think you don't like me. You think I'm on an ego trip. Hey, well, I don't care, cause I'm famous, and that's more important than relationships. Fame's more important than relationships. Tom Wilson, he's kind of famous. He has lost all of his friends. Big whoop. Tonight's gonna be the best. A showbiz party, a big success. Just lower your standards, start expecting less, and let those lowered expectations start with me. I have asthma, yeah. I just wrote it. I was goofing off. Sorry. We can begin the serious, But what I really think of cinema.
How the heck do I follow that? Would you talk about your raison d'etre, Tom?
Yes, I have a lot of raisons for d'etre. A couple of English majors.
Well, I think we'd like to talk a little bit about Back to the Future. Anyone here? So let's go, pardon the expression, back to the very beginning. One of the last people cast in the film was you, Tom. There was a search that went on for Biff.
I thought that the role of Biff, I had been in, the facts of life, disgruntled jock. I introduced biscuits in a national KFC commercial. Yeah, you're welcome. That was me. I brought you biscuits, people. You're welcome. Yeah, sure. I'll act it out. Fresh buttermilk biscuits made from scratch. Blink. So I didn't think, when I was auditioning for it, I thought that there was gonna, they would get some big star to play Biff. I thought it would go to the big stars. Judge Reinhold, Andrew McCarthy, biggies, So I was auditioning for Biff with the hopes of being cast as one of Biff's gang members. Because I thought, well, I'm not going to get that role because it's a big role, but maybe, I'll do a good job, and they'll put me in the gang, and then I'll be in a movie. And that's what you wanted. Certainly, it's still the same, but there was a great cachet to being an actor in movies and not, selling biscuits in commercials. Though I was good. So, we'll talk to Chris very soon. I'll make it very brief, but I ought...
No. You're saving me.
Okay, good. Because I've created a dance about it. Then... So I auditioned. So my agent at the time really got me in to the casting director to audition for Biff. You have to see this guy. This actually happened. I go in, very young man, relatively new to Hollywood, to the industry, and the casting director says, I walk in, she says, well, you're supposed to be God's gift to acting, so that's it. And then I read it, I read the scene. They had written a specific scene with a lot of different, Biff stuff in it. So I read the scene. She says, let me get Mike in here. The big casting director comes in, and that began the process of coming back, I think 7 times for callbacks. Then they started calling me back and putting on age makeup to see what I would act like aged, and all of those things. And finally, the last night, they said they want to see you one more time. Steven Spielberg wants to see you with Lou Wasserman and Sid Sheinberg, the heads of the studio, and Robert Zemeckis and all this stuff. And at 6:30 that night, and I had Bruce Springsteen tickets. I did. So I said, wow, 6:30 at night. So I'm trying to make it short. I auditioned. I read, we go in there, oak table, big conference room. That was, Steven Spielberg there. I read through the scene with Crispin Glover. Crispin and I were paired together the entire audition process. So I read the scene. Robert Zemeckis says, Tom, I really want you to see you get physical with him. I want you to see you really get into this character. I said, okay. And there are those times in an audition where you just, I'll just go for it. We'll just see what happens, and I don't know what, we'll just go. And I pulled that kid across the table. I was beating him senseless. I lifted him into the air with his shirt. I'm like, come on, McFly. But in the middle of all this physicality, I completely forget what I'm doing in the scene. I forget all the lines of the scene, and I end up with Crispin aloft in the air. Just, I don't remember what to say now. And I literally put him down on the ground and just went like, that's what I have prepared.
And scene.
And scene, right. And they said, thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for coming in. Thanks a lot. Hey, Crispin, would you stay here? Yeah, Tom, thank you.
Oh, come on, it worked out.
It worked out. It worked out, but that was the worst Springsteen concert I've ever been to. The whole place, dancing in the dark. I was up in section Q. It just wrecked my career. The next morning they said I got it.
Okay, well, and while Tom was just, throwing himself all over the place, Chris got a script, and you weren't particularly thrilled about it. So what happened there?
I hope you've got a dance.
Okay. I've told this story before, and maybe some of you have heard it before. I will try to make it as interesting as the first time. I was doing a film, a little low-budget thing in Mexico City, and my agent sends me a script, Back to the Future, and I read it, and I didn't quite know what to make of it. I wasn't very interested, really, because I was going to New York to do a play. I'd been away from the city for a while, and I thought I should go back to my roots, which was the theater. That's where I began, and spent a lot of time doing that before I came to LA. So I was all in my mind doing that. And I had a great part, Hans Christian Andersen. If that rings a bell anywhere. And so I was all excited about that. And then I get this script for Back to the Future, and I kind of, and I dumped it in a waste paper basket. Not a great career move. But that's what I did. And a friend of you, by the astonishment on your face, you haven't heard this story.
Acting!
Just testing. Just testing. So, where was I then? A friend of mine was there, a lady friend that I brought down with me from LA, and she said that I had a motto that I never overlooked any possibility when I lived in New York. I mean, if it was raining, storming, and there was like a cameo, a little play off Broadway, I would get my ass there just in case it worked out, you know. So I had to agree with her saying that, you know, maybe I should really take a look at it. So I took a look at it. I came back to LA. I met and sat down with Bob Zemeckis, and I left a total 100% on board. Now, you know, that's my story. It was not nearly as entertaining, unpredictable, and spontaneous as this gentleman's opening song and remarks.
It's a goofball, man. Get over it. I don't know.
This guy is great. This guy is fabulous.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. It is work, but also as a human being. You're
Thank you, my
amazing.
friend.
Yeah.
It means the world to me, as you know. I love the guy. It is magnificent. It was such a thrill for me to study acting in New York, to do theater, to do all of these things, and have great respect for that art form. And you know, of course, you become a professional actor, and you do, and I make fun of it, but you don't really see yourself doing a biscuit commercial or just playing these things. So, what a thing, to get cast in a film, and we had 2 weeks of rehearsals. Cares about this kid, that he loves the kid, he's trying to help the kid. It is, you know, it has become a thing that people like to do, but you have to examine it and see the great sophistication of an actor at the top of his game.
I love you, man.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother.
All right, so both of you finally worked things out, and you're in the movie, and then they bring in Marty, and I'm sure maybe some of you have heard that there was a Marty before Michael J. Fox, and his name was Eric Stoltz, and I'm going to preface this by saying Eric is a fine actor, talented director, top-notch, but there were some problems. He wasn't quite the Marty that people were looking for. Let's talk about, he had a sort of method actor thing going on, Tom, and you had a situation with him where he sort of...
Well, as I've said, look, every actor has their method. You know, there is a method, but everyone is going to figure out their method, what works for them. And that's fine. You know, look, I don't care if you want to ride an ostrich to the set, okay? When the camera is on, the proof is in the pudding. You have to act the scene when it's time to act the scene, and that's fine. But sometimes, playing a character like Biff, it is difficult if someone has a method that is really in competition with my method, which as an actor is not a method which helps me believe that I am a bully and want to beat everyone up and have evil intent, you know? Because I was bullied when I was in school. I had asthma. I missed 2 years of my 4 years of high school. I was in and out of the hospital. I got pushed around by bullies all the time. I didn't like them. I didn't find anything entertaining about them. And when I auditioned for this, I didn't find anything entertaining about it. So when I was being treated like that as an actor on the set, and actually truly, physically manhandled. Big Daddy didn't care for that at all. So what I have found, and you know, it's an easy joke to play, but you know, when you're a guy my size, if you want to have a method and improvise where you really want to try to beat me up, I'll improvise my own method and show you that you can only beat me up because it says that you can beat me up, and we get snacks after we pretend that happens. So, yes. So, yeah, there were, you know, yeah, I don't like to, you know, call guys by their character's name. I don't like to pretend that I hate them. I don't like any of that stuff. And I think eventually, I'll do it for a while. But eventually, if it runs into a problem with how I prepare and what I'm doing, then of course it's a problem. Because we're two professionals. And if I respect your method, then you must respect my method as well. And that's the only thing I say about it. So if we come into you know, an intersection of those methods and have a problem, let's talk about it. Let's not just kind of get all physical and see what happens. Because if you want to get physical with me, man, we can see what happens. Does that make sense?
Very much so. But while you were creating your process and your character, you added a lot of the Biff character in pieces of dialogue. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Biff had, I won't say it because of the young people, but Biff had a worse language than he actually has in the movie because I was saying, what are you looking at? Something else. You know? I was saying, why don't you make like a tree and leave? And I said, this guy is actually dumber than that. You know? Just having this, what are you looking at? You know what? Why doesn't he call people like, and this didn't exist in the lexicon at that time. I just tried to think of some stupid word that you would make up to call people, so I made up butthead. So that made it all the more, you know, what are you looking at, butthead? And then I said, he has to get the stuff wrong. He's too stupid, you know? Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? You know? All that stuff. And even with the Mad Dog, then it went throughout the, I'm gonna hunt you and shoot you down like a duck. So we added all that kind of stuff. In a makeup test, they were just testing the age makeup.